Clark Gable was born on February 1st, 1901 in Cadiz, Ohio. His birth name was William Clark Gable. He was an actor. He was known as the King of Hollywood. His most iconic role was as Rhett Butler in the 1939 epic film called Gone with the Wind. His line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," is one of the most famous in cinema history. How many times have you seen it over the years? He won an Academy Award in 1935 for his movie titled It Happened One Night. Clark gave the trophy away to a child who admired it. It was given back to the Gable family after Clark passed away. He was mistakenly listed as a female on his birth certificate. He was dyslexic and quit school at age 16. He worked at a tire factory before becoming an actor. After his third wife, named Carol Lombard, died in a plane crash, he joined the U.S. Army Air Forces in 1942. He flew 5 combat missions in Europe during World War II. One of the planes he was in was damaged in the air. Shell fragments hit his boot. Supposedly, Hitler offered a reward to anyone who could capture Clark. Some of his other movies included The Misfits, Mutiny on the Bounty, San Francisco, A Free Soul, Run Silent, Run Deep, Mogambo, Call of the Wild, and Red Dust, just to name a few. He had an affair with the actress Loretta Young, and she ended up having a daughter with him. He smoked 3 to 5 packs of unfiltered cigarettes a day and drank a lot of alcohol. He had cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and his gallbladder was removed. He was known to go on extreme diets for different roles. He was married 5 times and had 2 children. His grandson, named Clark Gable III, hosted the TV show called Cheaters for a while. Sadly, he died from a drug overdose at age 30 in 2019. Clark I died in 1960 from a 4th heart attack. He was 59 years old. Vivien Leigh was born on November 5, 1913 in India. Her British parents worked there and they were avoiding World War I. Her birth name was Vivian Mary Hartley. She was an actress. She appeared in many plays and films, including 2 iconic movie roles. The first one was when she played Scarlett O'Hara in the epic movie Gone with the Wind, released in 1939. It's widely considered one of the best movies ever. Over 100 actresses were considered for the role, including Katharine Hepburn, Bette Davis, Joan Crawford, Paulette Goddard, Lucille Ball, and Lana Turner. Vivien had what they were looking for. She won an Academy Award for her unforgettable performance. Her second biggest role was as Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire, released in 1951. She said that role tipped me into madness. She won another Academy Award. Some of her other movies included A Yank at Oxford, Caesar and Cleopatra, The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone, Waterloo Bridge, and Ship of Fools, among many others. She was in more plays than films. She earned a Tony Award in 1963. She married her first husband in 1931 and used his middle name for her new last name. She married famous actor Laurence Olivier in 1940. They were together for 20 years and they worked together on stage. She put him through hell and he finally divorced her. She had 1 child with her first husband and she was married twice. She had 2 miscarriages. She suffered from bipolar disorder. In 1944, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis. She died from the disease in 1967. She was 53 years old. Olivia de Havilland was born on July 1st, 1916 in Tokyo, Japan. She was an actress and an author. She appeared in 49 films in her 50-year career. Her younger sister, named Joan Fontaine, was also a great actress. They had a lifelong sibling rivalry. Both of her parents were British, who met each other while living in Japan. She won 2 Academy Awards, 2 Emmys, and 2 Golden Globes. She was appointed a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II in 2017 when she was 100 years old. She was the first female president of the Cannes Film Festival jury. One of her most well-known parts was in the epic movie called Gone with the Wind. She played Melanie Hamilton, who was Scarlett O'Hara's sister-in-law and friend. She was the last surviving cast member. Of course she dated Howard Hughes. Olivia also dated Jimmy Stewart. Her first film role was in the 1935 movie called A Midsummer Night's Dream. In 1945, the de Havilland Rule was created after she successfully took Warner Brothers to court. The law basically says that studios cannot hold an actor to a contract longer than 7 years. She was in several movies with Errol Flynn, including The Adventures of Robin Hood, They Died with Their Boots On, and Captain Blood. They had love for each other, but they couldn't act on it because Errol was already married. Some of her other films included The Snake Pit, The Heiress, Hold Back the Dawn, and Airport 77, just to name a few. She released her memoir in 1962 called Every Frenchman Has One. She was married 2 times and had 2 children. She died in 2020 from natural causes. She was 104 years old. Hattie McDaniel was born on June 10, 1893 in Wichita, Kansas. She was an actress, a singer, a songwriter, and a comedian. She experienced some groundbreaking firsts and heartbreaking racism. Her most famous role was that of Mammy in the 1939 film called Gone with the Wind. The next year, she became the first black actor to win an Academy Award. It was for Best Supporting Actress. She was forced to sit at a segregated side table away from her co-stars. Okay, this video is just going to make me mad. She wasn't allowed to attend the premiere of the movie in Atlanta, Georgia due to segregation laws. Clark Gable was so mad about this that he threatened to boycott the premiere, but Hattie talked him out of it. She was the first black woman to sing on American radio. Her sister Etta and her brother Sam were also actors. In 2006, she became the first black Oscar winner honored with a U.S. postage stamp. Some of her other films included Song of the South, China Seas, Thank Your Lucky Stars, Since You Went Away, Alice Adams, and In This Our Life, just to name a few. She grew up in Denver, Colorado, and dropped out of school at age 16 to tour with a minstrel show, which usually featured white actors in blackface. She wrote a lot of the songs that she sang. During World War II, she was a member of the American Women's Voluntary Services. She helped raise money for war bonds and entertained the troops. She also helped raise money for the Red Cross. She was often criticized for playing maid roles, but she said, "I'd rather make $700 a week playing a maid than $7 being one." She had some health issues, including a stroke and diabetes. She was married 4 times and had no children. She willed her Oscar to Howard University, but it disappeared while on display and was never found. It was finally replaced in 2024. She wanted to be buried in the Hollywood Cemetery, which is now called Hollywood Forever, but was denied due to her race. A monument was later built for her there. She died in 1952 from breast cancer. She was 59 years old. Leslie Howard was born on April 3, 1893 in Forest Hill, London, England. His birth name was Leslie Howard Steiner. He was an actor, a director, a producer, and a writer. His role of Ashley Wilkes in the epic film Gone with the Wind is definitely one of his most recognized characters. It was released in 1939 and is one of the most popular movies of all time. It was also his last Hollywood film. He was nominated for an Academy Award twice for his work in the movies Pygmalion and Berkeley Square. He was working at a bank when World War I began. He joined the British Army. 2 years later, he was medically discharged with shell shock, which is now called post-traumatic stress disorder. This is when he began acting in plays. He was so great that he moved to Hollywood and had a very impressive career. He refused to be in the movie called The Petrified Forest unless Humphrey Bogart was added to the cast. They became very close friends. Here's a fun fact. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall named their daughter Leslie Howard Bogart to honor Leslie. Some of his other films included It's Love I'm After, Romeo and Juliet, The Lady is Willing, A Free Soul, and The Happy Warrior, among many others. As World War II started, Leslie made anti-Nazi propaganda films for England. He would write, direct, and star in them. He also wrote articles and made radio broadcasts to support war efforts. He was married once and had 2 children. He died in 1943 when the commercial plane he was on was shot down by Germans over the Bay of Biscay. 17 people died on Flight 777 from Portugal heading to England. He was 50 years old. Thomas Mitchell was born on July 11, 1892 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. He was a wonderful character actor. He also wrote and directed a few plays. He was the first male actor to win an Academy Award, a Tony, and an Emmy. He had many great roles in a lot of classic movies. One of my favorites was when he played Uncle Billy in the 1946 film called It's a Wonderful Life. He played Scarlett O'Hara's father in the 1939 epic movie called Gone with the Wind. He originally planned for a career in journalism, but acting seemed more fun. He started out on Broadway, and his first film role was in the 1923 movie called Six Cylinder Love. Some of his other films included Stagecoach, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Lost Horizon, The Black Swan, High Noon, The Outlaw, The Hurricane, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, just to name a few. He concentrated on television and plays the last decade of his life. He was married twice and had 1 child. He died in 1962 from peritoneal mesothelioma, or in other words, abdominal cancer. He was 70 years old. George Reeves was born on January 5, 1914 in Woolstock, Iowa. His birth name was George Kiefer Brewer. He was an actor. His most famous role was as Superman in the 1950s TV show Adventures of Superman. It ran on ABC from 1952 to 1958. I seriously loved that show. I've seen every episode multiple times. His death is wrapped in mystery. With everyone involved now dead, we will never know what really happened. His first major movie role was a small part in Gone with the Wind. He changed his last name to Reeves and had a few more roles before being drafted into the Army in 1943. Eventually, he returned to Hollywood and struggled to find good roles. Some of his other films included an uncredited role in From Here to Eternity, Father is a Prince, Calling All Husbands, Torrid Zone, and Argentine Nights, just to name a few. He appeared in a few more TV shows, including a cameo in I Love Lucy, The Clock, The Trap, and Lights Out. In 1951, he was offered the role of Superman and he became a household name. It was a blessing and a curse. He was typecast. He was married once and had no children. He died in 1959 from a supposed self-inflicted gunshot wound. However, many suspect he was killed by his fiancée named Leonore Lemon, who realized he wasn't as rich as she thought. They waited 45 minutes before calling the police. There were 3 bullets found, but the guests only heard 1 shot. His body was bruised. They didn't test his hands for gunpowder. It also could have been a jealous husband. He was 45 years old.